We've seen a quiet, severe weather season in mid-Missouri, and that's probably a good thing because there are few storm shelters.
We told you in a special report Sunday, Joplin has been building multiple safe rooms since that deadly 2011 tornado. Tonight, ABC 17's Lindsey Burning looks at why mid-Missouri hasn't done more since the 7th deadliest tornado in U.S. history swept through our state.
Since the 2011 Joplin tornado, the area has built more than 20 safe rooms in the Joplin schools, Webb City, and Jasper County. And the local school districts have chipped in millions of dollars for them. But here in mid-Missouri, only a handful of safe rooms have been built since that time, and there are no safe rooms or community shelters in the two counties with the highest population. Graduation weekend. For most, it's a time for celebration. For the 2016 Joplin High School graduating class, this past weekend was also a time to remember 3 of their fellow classmates who couldn't be there. One who was killed in the Joplin tornado 5 years ago. 6 other Joplin students and 1 staff member were also among the 161 lives taken by the twister. Since then, the Joplin School District says it has spent $30 million on installing 21 safe rooms built to FEMA standards in all but 2 of its schools. 14 are open to the community.
As you're coming in, you can see that you really wouldn't know it was a safe room unless someone told you. So most of them are gymnasiums, and this is very typical of what they look like.
In mid-Missouri, there are only 7 FEMA-approved safe rooms across all 14 counties, plus 1 that's currently under construction. This month, I went to the safe room in Holt Summit. It was built around 2007, years before the Joplin tornado.
Well, one of the reasons that we even explored this avenue was there have been tornadic events in this area within Callaway County over the years. And since we do have several mobile home parks in the city, we felt that this was necessary.
The safe rooms are built to withstand an EF5 tornado, the strongest on the scale.
It's constructed of reinforced concrete and steel. It's designed to hold up to 270-mile-an-hour winds. The ceiling has precast panels and then concrete on top of the precast panels.
The safe room also has steel reinforced doors, buffer areas near the entries, an emergency generator, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchenette. But in Boone and Cole counties, the 2 counties with more people than all of the other mid-Missouri counties combined, there are no safe rooms or community storm shelters. I went to the Boone County Emergency Management Agency to find out why.
They're done through mitigation grants, and they're really very competitive and very hard to get.
The FEMA grants, or federal funds for safe rooms, only become available once in a while. The grants are generally rewarded to places hit by recent disasters or those with a history of tornadoes.
The last time there were federal funds available for safe rooms, most of those went to the Joplin area after the tornado that happened there, that devastating storms.
The Midwestern Regional Climate Center says since 2000, tornadoes have only touched down in Boone County 4 times, and there have been no touchdowns in Cole County. The recipients must also be able to show financial need.
It's just harder for larger metropolitan, larger rural communities to get those grants.
The lack of safe rooms in Boone County isn't due to a lack of trying. Columbia Public Schools officials tell me they've applied for FEMA grants multiple times, most recently with the additions of the gymnasiums at Rockbridge and Hickman High Schools in 2012.
And so we've gone a different route as far as continuing to evaluate our school buildings to make sure that we have the best emergency plans in place, working with our local emergency officials, talking with our architects and our engineers.
Michelle Baumstark says Columbia Public Schools reevaluates each school's safety plan with evacuation routes and shelter-in-place locations every year. Every building has a different plan.
To make sure that it addresses not only the layout and design of that particular building, but also the student capacity in that building, whether or not it has trailers, how many levels is it, what interior locations we have available.
CPS also works with emergency officials when building new schools to make sure there are a number of options for students to take shelter, although there is no official safe room. But that may change. Earlier this month, a bill was proposed to the Columbia City Council to adopt the 2015 International Building Code. Atop the set of codes is a new storm shelter requirement. New schools and emergency operations centers would have to construct shelters that meet FEMA standards.
As is often the case with the codes, they're often generated from catastrophes. As we all well know, we've had some recent catastrophes, even thinking about Joplin in 2011. In the wind areas that where the wind speed is up to 250 miles an hour during these events, The code is now mandating storm shelters.
But the code change would be costly to the city and school district.
You have to keep in mind that we are not a small district. So when you say we're adding a safe room, is that an underground safe room? Is that an interior reinforced safe room? How many students can it hold? It sounds great in theory, but there's certainly a lot of challenges that would need to be explored.
City Council members Michael Trapp and Carl Scala tell me they're in support of adopting the new set of codes, and both say keeping students safe is worth the extra cost. That bill will be reviewed at the council's next meeting on June 6th. If it passes, officials recommend that it start being enforced on October 1st.
Lindsay, thanks. This March, Governor Nixon approved construction of 5 new safe rooms across the state using more than $5 million in FEMA grants, none of them, though, in mid-Missouri.